Hey, this is Mama's Mad Ideas, and I'm here today with you with another video. Have you ever tried this Mike's Hard Black Cherry Lemonade? It's really good. So let's pick up where we left off on yesterday. I want to make a few clarifications to yesterday's lesson. Okay, so one clarification that I would like to make is with the crochet hook. I wanted to let you know that when you are crocheting, I had said in the video on yesterday to never let your yarn go past the smooth part of the hook. I wanted to clarify that you do let it go past the smooth part when you're getting ready to drop your work off the hook. For other purposes, your yarn is to remain on this smooth part. For one, it keeps your tension, it keeps your stitches from being too tight. If you crochet down into the small part of the hook, it tends to make the tension of your yarn very tight and very hard for you to release your work off the hook as you're crocheting. So I just wanted to clarify that. The other thing I would like to clarify is with the yarn that we used on yesterday. Let me move my drink out the way. So one thing I had told you that the yarn had openings. Well, the yarn, it has openings on each end, but when you start using your yarn, you want to make sure you use the end of the yarn that has the free fall thread coming out. So you're going to want to choose the side where you see the thread. Sometimes the yarn, it is not visible in the center of the yarn, and you have to dig down in the center in order to find that loose end. If you can't find it, you're going to have an issue with the yarn flopping around if you use the piece on the outside. As you work, your yarn will flop around. But there is a method for that. If you do have to use the outside part of your yarn, you can always sit your yarn down inside of a large bowl to keep your yarn clean as you work. So that's one little trick that I learned, that if you do use this outside thread versus finding the piece in the middle, which helps the yarn stabilize, you can get a large bowl and just sit your whole skein of yarn down inside the bowl. Okay, so let's get ready to get started. Okay, so on yesterday, I left you with a little bit of homework. Your homework was to start your beginning loop on your crochet hook and also practice doing crochet chain stitches. How did you do? Leave me some comments down below. Okay, so today we're going to go back. I'm going to brush up a little bit with you, and then we're going to begin the second row of our crochet chain stitches. Okay, so you may need a pair of scissors today. So I'm going to give you two choices. You can either cut what you learned on yesterday with your scissors, or you can take it loose and start over, because today we're going to be doing something just a tiny bit different, but we're going to practice what we learned on yesterday, and then we're going to add to that. I'm going to cut my work right here where I left off. So I have my scissors, and I'm just going to cut it right here. Just like that. All right, so this is my chain stitch, 20 chain stitches that we did on yesterday. And I'm going to put that to the side. So today, we're going to begin by starting with our loop on our hook, as we did on yesterday. Okay, so we have our loop on our hook. I'm going to pull out a little bit of yarn out of my skein. Today is going to be a little bit different. Instead of doing 20 chain stitches, I want you to do 10. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pull out a little bit of yarn out of my skein, and I'm going to pull it right out of the center. And if you'll see how it stays stable when you pull it directly from the center hole. Okay. So the next thing I want to do, I want to make my first loop on my hook. So if you'll recall on yesterday, you lay your yarn over top of your hook. Make that X. See that X right there? Then all you do, you pinch it. You want to wrap that yarn around the hook. And then all you're going to do, I'm leaving it a little loose so you can actually see. You're going to wrap it around and you're going to let that hook guide the yarn right through that hole. I'm going to do it one more time. So you lay your yarn on your hook. Let me cut my string a little bit. It's a little long. Okay, let's go ahead and make that first row together. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to make my X. And I'm going to slip my yarn underneath my hook and make my slip knot. And now I'm ready to start counting. So I'm going to pull down, go under and through. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And that's 4. And that's 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And 10. Okay, so I want you to take a look at your chain stitch that you just made. Take a look at the front side and take a look at the back side. The back side feels sort of bumpy and the front side is kind of smooth. Also on the front side, you'll see a loop at the top and you'll see a loop at the bottom. Now there are many ways to begin to connect your rows. But today, I'm going to show you how to connect your rows by using only the top loops of your crochet chain stitch. Okay, so what I want you to do, we're not going to work with that very first loop on the stitch, and it's right. Let me see if I can point to it. It's right here. We're not going to work with that. Instead, we're going to work with this loop, which is the second loop on our crochet hook. So I'm going to slip my crochet hook back into this loop and I'm going to tighten it up just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to position my yarn on my finger where I'm comfortable, and I'm using my thumb and my middle finger to help hold everything. So remember, I'm not working in this first stitch from the hook, but I'm working in the second one. And I'm going to try to zoom that in for you so you can see that. So I'm not working in the first one, but I'm working in this one right here. So what I want to do with the tip of my crochet hook, I want to insert my hook all the way from the front to the back of that top loop. And what I just did, I'm going to repeat. I did not use the first loop on the hook. I used the second one. I took my hook and I put it directly in the front and guided it all the way to the back. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with the first row. I'm going to pull up a loop. So I'm going to take my hook and put it underneath my yarn, catch that yarn and turn as I go. And I'm going to pull it through that first loop. So now I have 2 stitches on my hook. My yarn is wrapped and I'm going to pull it through. All right. You just made your first single chain stitch. Okay, so now we're moving to the next loop on the hook. The next loop on the hook is right here. It's right beside this. You already have one in this one right here. So now you're going right beside it. So you're going to take your hook, put it into that next loop, from the front to the back. You're going to take your hook, lay it on top of your yarn, turn it, and your hook will guide that thread straight through the hole. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. You're back to the smooth part of your needle. That keeps your tension nice and even. You're going to wrap your yarn, turn your needle, and you're going to pull through both of those loops on your hook. You just made your second single chain crochet stitch. All right, so now we are moving to the third space in the crochet chain. I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to put it into the third chain space from the front to the back. My needle is on top of the yarn. I turn my needle. I use my hook to guide the yarn through that third chain. I come out and I have 2 loops on my hook again. I'm back to the smooth part of my hook. I take my crochet hook and I go underneath that yarn. And then I turn my hook as I guide it through those 2 loops. You've just completed your third chain of your crochet stitch. All right. Now we're going to do it again. We're moving on down this chain. I'm going to my 4th space on my crochet chain now. So I have my hook in my hand, and as you can see, we're starting to see some progress. You're going to take your needle, your crochet hook, and you're going to stick it through the 4th space on your crochet hook from the front to the back. You let it go all the way through. Once it's on there, your needle or your hook is on top of your yarn. You're going to turn it, let that hook grab the yarn, and gently pull it through. On the smooth part, so you don't want to work down in there. You want to make sure your work stay up in here. Then you're going to wrap it, turn, and let it guide through. And trust me, it will get easier the more you practice. Let's do one more. All right, so you're going to find that 5th space, which is right here at the top. Needle goes from the front to the back. You let that hook grab that yarn, pull up. You have 2 loops on your hook, and pull through. All right. So we're going to continue that all the way till we get to the end of our chain. So we go in from the front to the back, pull up our yarn, pull through 2 loops. We're going to go in again, come out, and pull up and go through 2 loops. We're going to do that one more time. We're going to go in, come out, and pull up 2 loops. We're going to go in, come out, and pull up 2 loops. Now let's take a look. You have now completed a row of single chain crochet stitches. Let's count. Let's double check and see how many we have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so let me show you how to do the last one on your loop. Now the last one is sometimes a little bit tight. So with this last one, sometimes you have to find it. You're going to let that yarn guide you, the hook guide right into the yarn. Pull up that last loop on the hook, and there you go. So now you have 10 chains or 10 stitches on your crochet chain stitch. Then once you do that, you're going to take your hook in your hand. You're going to hold this part right here, and you're going to go underneath the yarn one time and create a chain. Just one chain stitch. Then you're going to turn your work. Once you turn your work, once you have made your chain stitch at the end of your first row, you're going to flip your work and be ready to start. And you're going to do the same thing on this side, but you're going to continue and you're going to go back down the other side. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to get your yarn comfortable in your hand. And you're going to go through this space right here. Hope you can see that. You're going to take your needle and you're going to go through both of those loops on your hook. And I'm going to turn it to the side where you can see that. So you're going underneath both of those. And that's what it looks like from the front. Then you're going to put your needle on top of your yarn. And what you do is simply guide that yarn through those loops. You have 2 loops on your hook. And then you're going to go underneath both again. Now you're creating the second row of your chain stitches. So that's 1, 2, and it's okay to rewind this, put it on pause, go back. That's the good thing about having a video. You can go back, keep practicing one part, and then go back and catch up. This is 3. Pull a little yarn out of my skein. This is 4. Five. This is 6. 7. This is 8. This is 9. And this is 10. Okay, so as you can see, you're starting to form your chain swatch, your chain stitch swatch. So what we're going to do, we're going to make one more row, and don't worry if this is not perfect. You will get better over time with this. Think about these videos. They're videos made for beginners, so this is for learning, okay? So we just completed the end of the second row, and I don't want you to worry if it's not perfect at first. You will get better with this over time. The good thing about this is you can go back, you can rewind, you can watch it again, you can pause it until you get where you want to be with this. So we're going to continue to do this. We're going to make our third row. And every time you start your row, you're going to want to start with that chain. So let's make one single chain. So that's my single chain. And when I make my single chain, I turn my work. Now that I have made my single chain, I can start to see my spaces. I want to count and make sure I continue to have 10 chains going across. So I know that this is 1 right here. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I know that I start my next chain right here. So I'm going to stick it in this hole. I'm going to stick it from the front to the back underneath both loops on this hook, and I'm going to wrap and pull through. Go under both the loops, and I've created a chain. That's one. We're going to go all the way across. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And as you can see, it's starting to form. So you're already starting to make a swatch or a small piece of fabric. And I know that's really exciting. This is called the single chain crochet stitch. Also, when you get deeper into crocheting and you get into crochet patterns, you may see several abbreviations, and the abbreviation for the single chain stitch is SC. So if you see that, you know that means single chain stitch. If you see ST, that means stitch. Okay? If you see CH, that means a chain stitch. Okay? So a chain stitch is what you add to the end of your work before you turn your row. And then the single chain stitch is what we created right here on top. So let's do another row together. So I'm going to make my chain stitch. I'm going to turn my work, and I'm ready to start a new row. Pulling out a little yarn out of my skein. Okay, so I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go from front to back. I'm going to pull up a loop. I have 2 on my hook, and I'm going through both. I'm going to go from front to back, pull up a loop, pull through both. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. That's 6. That's 7. That's 8, 9, and 10. You want to count as you go to make sure your swatch stays nice and even. Also, if you got a counter, which comes in some of the crochet packs, you can also use that, and you can mark your counter as you go up your rows. But you can always use notebook paper and a pencil or pen and just write it down. Each time you go start a new row, you can just write it down, jot it down. So this will be row number 4. So I'm chaining 1 at the end of my row, making a chain stitch, and I'm ready to go ahead and do my single chains. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now don't worry, you will get speed as you learn how to do this, and you will get a lot quicker with this. Like I said, I've been doing it for over 22 years, so go at your own pace. Stop the videos, pause the videos, rewind the videos until you get the hang of this. This is your homework for today and tonight to practice this swatch. When we come back tomorrow, I would like for you to have this swatch completed, 10 chains across and 10 rows up. So I want you to do 10 rows, and this is about to be the 5th row. So I want you to do the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th row. So that will be your homework for tonight. So how does it feel to be crocheting now? You're almost there. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Tap that notification bell and set it to all so you don't miss out on any of my notifications. Please share this video. Take care, stay blessed, and I will see you again soon with another video. Bye-bye.